So, good evening, everybody. My name is Dick Readymoney, and I'm from RS Hydroponics Farms and Consultants. And today I'm here to speak about hydroponics as well as protected farming, because that is the future of cultivation with the weather change. Whatever is happening with the climate changes happening all around the world, the water levels rising, unseasonal rain, all this is harming our crops. And I'm sure you're all aware what is happening around Nasik and this year Maharashtra that suffered strawberry collapse, production collapse, things like that. So a lot of things are happening like that. Would you prefer English or would you prefer me to speak in Hindi?
Sir, we prefer English only, sir, because we have
Yeah,
participants
okay.
all over India. Okay.
All right. Okay. Okay. So this is where we are. What you see is a farm, which is basically my farm, where we used to do cultivation of various leafy green vegetables. Conventional farming is what we call today now a disaster in progress, because whatever today is happening, we are using a lot of chemicals, pesticides, herbicides, a lot of other inputs which are chemical based. Very few are still doing Vedic or non-chemical based or natural farming as we call it, and that is only happening in India in a very small number. Today, as you know, America has introduced genetically modified seeds, which basically are they're not going to produce seeds themselves. You have to keep buying new seeds. There is nothing natural about it. And with the meat industry getting bigger and better every day, what is happening is a lot of agricultural land is being used to grow fodder. And that is a very water intensive product. It is heavy irrigation. And again, every time you need to grow it, to grow a new crop, you do tillage and you do all kinds of several things. And instead of multi-cropping, people are focusing more and more on monoculture production. So it becomes very water intensive. It requires a lot of power, fuel, all kinds of things, leading to a lot of pollution in the air. Again, we are looking at 92% of fresh water is being used for agriculture. Now, I'm sure most of you are aware that out of the whole 75% earth that is covered in water, only 3% is potable, and out of which 2% is stuck in the glaciers. So, out of that, if 92% is being used only for agriculture, what happens to the rest of us? So livestock feed especially takes up most of the water, which is 45%. The farms that are growing livestock feed for animals. Uh, in the next few months or years, next coming few couple of years, more than 2 billion people will be living in the countries with acute shortage, water shortage, which is already happening in India and Africa and other places. Uh, UAE relies on desalinated water, which is all the Arabian countries are doing that. Even Australia is doing that. Australia doesn't have any rivers, any natural source, so they're dependent on rainwater harvesting, and desalination of water. Now, desalination of water is one of the most polluting ways of doing, or naturally harmful ways of getting drinking water, because whatever salt you remove from the water, you're putting it back into the sea. And that certain area, that certain region gets highly saturated with salt, destroying the marine lives, including corals and fish and everything. Even the soil degradation that is happening is because of the same thing. 70% of global soil degradation is happening because of chemicals, greenhouse emissions, deforestations, because people are cutting down trees to grow fodder and other food stuff. And at the same time, government is making more and more land available for NA, which is non-agricultural land. They're converting all the farms into non-agricultural land. Agriculture, as you know, greenhouse effect, and that is what is causing the climate changes. And the agriculture itself is responsible for 12% of the greenhouse gas emission, as we call it. Through deforestations, they are cutting down trees, use of pesticides, fertilizers, all these kinds of things. And this is where the problem starts. And that when the climate change happens, As you saw last year, there was very little rain. A lot of people lost crops. This year there was too much rain and still people lost crops. And not only rains, but for example, strawberries that grow only in Maharashtra in Maharashtra, they suffered a very big shock this year. Pune, which is 100 kilometers away from Mahabaleshwar, was experiencing 8 degrees. And Mahabaleshwar, which is a hill station, was still at 15 degrees. So the fruit that requires 10 to 12 degrees was not growing well. And it requires certain amount of temperature and sunlight to get color. The fruit will come, but the color won't come. And by the time the temperature stabilized, they went down straight to 7 and 8 degrees. Again, bad for the fruit. So this year's strawberry production has mostly happened in Nasik and in polyhouses, greenhouses like we are doing, and in places which is not normally suitable for strawberry. So these are the things that are happening along due to this climate change and all the other greenhouse emission gases. There's another thing that happens which many of us are not aware. I wasn't aware for till about 5 6 years ago, and that is something called dead zones. Now there are 400 dead zones around the world. What happens is we are using a lot of chemical fertilizers. All this goes into the ground, seeps into our wells, into our rivers. These rivers in the end end up in the sea. And these seas, then when it gets accumulated in one spot, like you can see, India is suffering from a dead zone in Bay of Bengal and even in Arabian Sea. This is an example of a Bay of Bengal issue. 60,000 square kilometers is dead zone, which means it's depleted of oxygen. Life cannot survive there, whether it's coral based or whether it's seafood or anything of the sort cannot survive there. Everything is just, it's a dead zone. Nothing can be grown over there or nothing can survive over there. And these zones around the world, all 400 of them, are growing every day. They're growing in size and they are moving. They're moving towards the land mostly. So this is again another phenomena that is caused due to the use of chemicals and fertilizers in the farming industry. Of course, even the chemicals and they are being used by other industries, but this is mostly due to pesticides and fertilizers. So this is again another danger that we have to face. And as I mentioned, more than 400 dead zones already exist, and they are increasing in size and number annually. Demand for farmland conversion is also sparking. This is one example in Karnataka. 71% of the agricultural land was converted to NA. The question here is, okay, you converted it to NA, people will come and live here. But at the end of the day, what are they going to eat? How are you going to grow food? And if your land is not there, you have to go vertical in the limited space. So that is where again protected farming comes in, polyhouses come in. And that is why the technology has to change, and that is why it is the future. What is hydroponics? Now, hydroponic is a system of growing crops, whether it's like this, like using these NFT channels, or in grow bags, wherever it is. It uses 90-95% less water, because in a conventional farm, when you are putting water or fertilizer, so even fertilizers or pesticides, it goes into the ground and it just dissipates. While in this case, as you can see, the water is rotating, and as nutrients get less, they get refilled. If it is in the grow bag, it will stay in the bag. So the root can take up whatever it wants, whenever it wants, leaving behind happy plants, healthier plants, and more nutritious plants. Our tests have shown that nutrition in a hydroponically grown vegetable is at least 200% more. Some tests have even shown 500, but let's take the 200% more nutrition. So we are not harming anything. We are saving water. We are saving space. We are growing more food in a limited area. Like in a 1 acre, you can grow anything between 5 acres to 10 acres worth of production you can get out of it. Even if you're not going vertical and just staying at one level, you'll still have more production. Advantage again being you can grow anything any time of the year. A simple example I would say would be lettuce leaves, the salad leaves as we call them. They come out between November and February from the ground. And that is the time when market is suffering, and suffering in the sense there is oversupply and you only get about 20-30 rupees a kilo. But if you're growing it in hydroponics, you can grow 9 to 12 crops a year. You can have 9 to 12 harvests in a year, which means you're growing throughout the year. And then in the month of April, May, June, this same price of 30 rupees can become 300 to even 700 rupees. Simple example, okay, common man will stop eating it because it's so expensive. But five stars, fast food chains like KFC, Subway, McDonald's, they must have them. They must have the Roma tomatoes, which are specially grown for them. There are beefsteak tomatoes, which are grown for burgers. So they have to have these products, and they are at the they were initially importing all of it. Now at least about 20% is supplied from within India. So when they import anything, naturally the price, the cost of the product is going up. And again, depending on the crop or the place where they are importing it from, has not suffered any natural disaster. The price can vary anything between 300 to 700 rupees a kilo, leading to a lot of gain for the farmer. Again, like I said, in 1 acre, he can grow worth anything up to 5 acres. And when you are growing 5 acres 9 times, 11 times a year, you're making a lot of profit. Most important thing, just like your conventional farming, even hydroponics has their own rules. You have to do it correctly. Properly study the market. You can do it indoors, you can do it in poly houses, you can do it anywhere. Again, a lot of people go in for copy paste. For example, everybody comes and says, "Oh, I've got a poly house designed for you, and it's from Israel." The most common sentence I've heard. What they forget is that Israel, or rather, people do not know here, the customers, is that Israel has only one climatic zone. In India, we have 300 climatic zones. So you cannot copy paste whatever is happening in Israel back here in India. You have to adapt it. You have to use what we call Indian Jugaad, which is most commonly used, and it's more intelligent and more suitable for our region, our climates, our climatic zones, everything. You don't have to make a poly house. You can make a net house if need be. You can make a poly tunnel if need be. You can have dual outlets for the outlet poly houses. You can make a lot of different things. In fact, I have seen some poly houses which have been made from treated bamboos to cut down the cost. So a lot of things can be done here, and you can be assured of your crop. There will be no crop loss. Let me say 99.9%, unless somebody does something extremely stupid like putting pesticide instead of nutrients in the water. Or there is a natural disaster like earthquake. I'll give you a personal example. This year, we were growing strawberry mother plants, which means these plants will give daughter plants, which are then put into nursery and then sold to the farmers to grow the strawberries. So they were all in a pipe, they were all hanging. And this year, due to heavy rains in Maharashtra, my farm, which was never to be flooded, which is right at the lake edge, this year got flooded twice. But we had 0% losses. We lost nothing at all, not even a single plant or anything of the sort. So that these are the advantages when you go with the new technology and adapt it to your region, your place, your climatic zone and conditions. Protected farming. This is what we call protected farming because it's still done in soil. But as you can see, it's protected from heavy rains, extreme heats. Here they have not yet used air circulation fans or foggers, but we can use those inside here to keep the temperature in control if there is an extreme heat situation. Even heavy rains can be, the plants are protected through that. And at the same time, again, you have natural pollination. And I believe in natural pollination, which is why we also do apiculture on our farms. So that we open the roof, we have retractable roof systems or nets which can be retracted to let the bees and the other insects in to come in and do pollination, especially for the crops like what we grow, like strawberries, blueberries, and other berries. So this is a protected situation. It's a farm, as you can see here, these are insect nets. If you can see here they are too transparent to be seen. But this side, due to light, you can see that they are insect nets. This protects the insects from coming in and harming your crops. Well, there is no 100% guarantee, but definitely it will be reduced because today we find all these kinds of pests even in a tissue culture lab. So they find their way in from anywhere and everywhere. But definitely it can be reduced to a lot of extent, especially things like butterflies that come and lay their eggs on your plants, which can destroy your plant. So these kind of things can be avoided and stopped altogether also. Why is it the need of the day? As I said earlier, there are a lot of reasons for today's time and for the future. Water demand is on the rise. Hydroponics saves water. Hydroponics can help you reduce your water consumption by 90%, as I said, compared to a normal farm. Uh, when you're doing hydroponics, you're growing vegetables and fruits which are not normally grown in your region. Like we are growing blueberries and other berries, and we are growing fruits and vegetables which are not meant for, would normally not be grown in a normal farm by controlling the temperature and the humidity. So while the pandemic happened this year, we had everybody, most of the countries faced food security because some of them import, especially the Middle East, which is dependent on imported food all the time. But if you are going to have everything grown within your country and reduce dependency on imports, we can survive this much better than we did the last time. Again, pandemic made a strong impact on the health as well. And this time, if we grow superfoods, again, I'm talking about berries or even avocado, even macadamia nuts, things like that we are growing here, which are not normally grown here. But now that we have used tissue culture and other systems, we can grow blueberries in zero chill, where it doesn't require chill to grow, and fruit. So these are kinds of things that can be adapted, and every country can become food independent. The farming location is not a problem. You do not need fertile soil. You're not dependent way too much on water. You're not dependent on many other things. Even, for example, if you have power problems, if you're using a system like, say, deep water culture, DWC, the water is always there. So even if the light is not there for, say, 6 hours a day, normally as it happens during load shedding, the plant is not going to suffer. You don't have to, you can grow it on your terrace, you can grow it on your balcony, you can grow it anywhere. You can grow your own food if you like, if you have a kitchen garden or whatever. So that these are the advantages of hydroponics. Again, hydroponic produces, and like I said, 3 to 10 times more food than conventional agriculture in the same space. Recently, some people approached me. They wanted for the whole society, every kitchen garden, every kitchen having a small balcony, and they went vertical. And they were growing 100 heads in each house, which means they could grow 100 plants in just 4 by 2 space and height. So height was about 7 feet, and they could grow leafy vegetables. They could do things like your spinach, they could do things like your coriander, parsley, all kinds of leafy vegetables they could grow very easily. Some of them went further and put in grow bags to grow tomatoes and cucumber and things like that. So yes, you grow your own stuff, you control your own inputs. A lot of people say that, okay, we are using a lot of chemicals, but no, like personally, us, we use biochemicals, biofertilizers. They're not chemicals, I'm sorry. Biofertilizers, we work with things like Jivamrut in hydroponics, which is produced by the cows and cow outputs. We are using electroculture, we are using Ayurvedic as well as homeopathy, and trying to stay as close to organic as possible. Only thing is, we cannot be certified organic simply because to be organic, you have to grow things in soil. But we are keeping our food output as healthy as possible. It's a great contribution to the this thing environment. As you know, there will be no soil erosions. There's no fear of harsh climates, no use for big water reservoirs, and it can grow anything any time of the year. We don't have to worry about snowfalls or rains or heat or anything of the sort. And that makes it very friendly with the nature. So to just sum it up briefly, 90% less water consumption, zero soil requirement, 100% up to 100% pesticide reduced production achievable. There are no weeds because there is no soil. Soil produces certain number of bacteria and pests. Now that there is no soil, that is reduced. There is no dependency on weather conditions. You can get at least double of the output than you normally get in a normal farm. You can get 400 to even you can say 700% space saving, because if you go vertical, you save a lot of space. Another advantage is that you reduce your labor costs, because in an acre, say if you need 5 6 people to work here, you need four or even less. In an acre, normally up to 10 people are required. Here, you will be able to do the work with 4 people. And of course, when you are 4 people are working, your output is still double or more. So even your increase in your this thing advantage in your profits. Even hydroponic fodder, here the milk is mentioned because hydroponic fodder, when you feed your animals, your anything, it can be cow, it can be goat, it can be chicken, also poultry, horses. In a cow, we have noticed 15 to 20% milk increase out in the output, and even the beef gains a lot of weight and a lot of other advantages like healthier digestion systems, happier animals, their mood stays more happy. So there are a lot of advantages over there. Again, it becomes very easy to make it modular and scale it up. In the same space of 1 acre, you can make grow more production by just scaling it up, going higher, or using other systems, other ways of doing it. There are many ways of doing it. And that's why the cost of your production then slowly comes down. You can have up to a 50% savings in the production cost. So these are the advantages when you go with hydroponic farming. And as far as if you're not, I mean, yes, it is cost capital intensive. So you can go with protected farming to start with, where all these advantages may not be there, but you'll be assured of minimal chances of crop loss. I wouldn't say 100% because earthquake can still do everything it wants to, or a major flood or something. But yes, you will be able to grow more and safely. You will not have crop losses due to have doing protected farming. So that's about it. I have to talk about. I would like to hear your questions and tell you more about what you want to know.
Thank you very much, sir, for a wonderful presentation. I will take up the questions now. In the
Yes,
meantime, can you please stop sharing the screen, sir, so that we can see your full video?
sure.
Continuation.
Is that okay?
Yes, thank you. I'll move on to the questions now. The first question is, what are the main challenges faced by growers in transitioning from open field to protected farming?
I would say zero. There is no problem because they are still doing what they were doing. They still grow what they are growing, except that they will protect it using a poly roof or a poly sheet on top of the as a roof, and the nets on the side. Yes, the limitations would be they will not be able to grow big trees like apple. You cannot grow big trees like similar mango, but even mango today, you get pygmy bananas, banana trees. In fact, even right now in Bolward, we are having a project where we are going to be growing pygmy lychee trees. So the idea here is to keep the plant small and dense. So there is a lot of production on that same plant without it growing too tall. So even moringa can be done. We can do moringa inside. We can do a lot of other big trees inside by just pruning them and keeping them short and letting them grow thick instead of tall.
Okay. Can hydroponics become a viable option for large-scale staple crop production?
Yes, it can be, especially thanks to the government schemes that are available, because they are giving you a lot of grants as well as low cost loans, extremely low cost loans with a lot of flexibility and things like that. A lot of schemes are available, which can be taken advantage of by the people. Yes, hydroponics is a capital intensive uh, field for a simple reason that you have to build a whole structure, suitable structure. So yes, it can be viable thanks to the government schemes.
Okay. What role will vertical farming play in urban areas and how is it connected to hydroponics?
In urban areas, oh, I wish I had that photograph. There is a gentleman, if I'm not mistaken, in Delhi. He has a 4 feet, sorry, 4 floor bungalow or a villa or whatever you can call it, and the entire all the balconies on each floor is now growing hydroponic food for his family consumption. So hydroponics is a simple way of doing things which can without getting your hands dirty in the soil. So it makes it much easier for urban people, especially to do it. They can leave it on timer, they can leave it on automation. Even if they go out for holidays, they can just leave it on and go without having to worry about what will happen to the plant.
Okay. How does the quality of produce from hydroponics compare to the conventional farming in terms of taste, shelf life, and nutrition value?
Uh, for all of them, for all the things that you said, shelf life, nutritional value, taste, uh, something else you said, all of them are going to be much better. Like I said, at least 200% to 500% better than conventional farming. It's been proven, tested, checked. I mean, even when I have visitors at my farm and I just break something off the pipes or towers or something and just offer it to them to eat, or I give them as a gift in a bundle. While walking around, they are just eating even palak, the spinach. They will just eat it raw because it's so tasty. Just they just keep eating it before they leave the farm. They finish the whole pack. So that proves how tasty it is. And shelf life is definitely more. Uh, we have seen lettuce stay up to 3 weeks fresh. It will depend on how you harvest it, what you've got it, how have you packed it. I mean, you cannot just cut it and leave it aside on the in a tray or something. You have to do certain things to just keep it fresh.
Okay. What are the export potential and market dynamics for the crops grown under protected cultivation?
It's the same as the conventional. There is a lot of demand. There are a lot of orders coming in from the Middle East and other countries, including Singapore, Hong Kong. They are importing a lot of product, conventional, hydroponic, everywhere. Because food is in a short supply worldwide. And India has the potential to be a food supplier to the world if they push it to the full potential. Africa and India have two places with a major advantage of being able to do that.
Okay. What are the cost implications of setting up and maintaining an hydroponic farm compared to conventional farming methods?
Uh, Conventional farming methods, really there is no cost involved because if they own the land, they are just running it and incurring OPEX instead of any CAPEX. So as far as hydroponics goes, there is a lot of CAPEX and very little OPEX. When you build a poly house for say 1 acre, you're for a brand new setup, it will cost you anything around 50-55 lakhs. But if you are doing using second-hand material, which is available in the market a lot and in very good condition, you'll spend around 25-27 lakhs. A complete setup for a 1 acre second-hand would cost you around 40-44 lakhs, 45 lakhs. And a new setup can go up to 70 lakhs, which is why I said it is capital intensive. And for protected farming, NHB is giving a lot of loans to farmers, 50% subsidy they're giving them. So 50% of the cost of the protected farming is covered by the NHB, National Horticulture Board.
Okay.
So a lot of people should take advantage, I feel, and going for it.
Okay. Can small scale farmers adopt hydroponics economically? What financial support or subsidies are available?
Like I said, if you just Google agricultural subsidies by the government, you will find a lot of them. NAIFF is a scheme. There are lots of schemes. I mean, just off the top of the head, I mentioned two. And states offer special schemes. UP is offering very special schemes for hydroponic farming. Uh, and central government as well as individual state governments gives you different levels of subsidies as well as grants, which means that is the money you don't have to return back. Up to 20 lakhs, 30 lakh grants are available online. So people can take advantage of that. There was a second part to your question.
What financial support or subsidies are available, sir?
Like I said, government is giving a lot of schemes, which is one of them is this I already mentioned, NHB. Second one I can recall is NAIFF, National Agriculture Infrastructure Funds. Okay, they are giving up to I think 40 lakhs, 40% up to 2 crores without any kind of collateral. Up to 2 crores without any kind of collateral, and with an interest rate of 9% and 3% is subsidized by the government. So eventually you're paying only 6%. So there are similar many other schemes like that. And like I said, every state will have to check with their own government or go on Google and Google for the state schemes. A lot of states are giving. The South, I think Karnataka is giving a lot and UP is giving. So there are schemes available which people need to do a little bit of work and find local information on them.
How does the concept of protected farming help mitigate the challenges of climate change and unpredictable weather?
It's similar to hydroponics because it is covered by a poly roof which allows the sun in but will keep the rain out. It'll keep the insects out, the flying pests out, and it will let the air in, which is required for aeration to keep the air fresh inside the polyhouse, inside the structure. So yes, that is where the advantage is, and you will never have a never. I wouldn't say never. Let's say 99% of the chances are that you'll never have a crop failure. So these are the advantages against the climate change. And like I mentioned during my presentation, you can grow anything any time of the year.
Okay. What specific hydroponic farming solutions and services does your company provide?
We provide everything from A to Z, right from consultation, simple consultation over a phone call, or set up a farm for them, manage it for them, help them manage it, train their people, make them independent in a period of about 3 years, because you're working with live things, life. You're working with plants. So every plant can have different diseases, different illnesses, with different humidity levels, different temperature levels, all kinds of things. So this has to be managed, and it cannot be just mentioned in a book and somebody reads and does it. It has to be. It comes with experience, and yeah, especially when we work with something which is unconventional, and not many people use it. It's like homeopathy, Ayurvedic, and things like that to keep it as chemical free as possible. So we provide all services, and to an extent, like we have recently started a global agriculture project in Pune, where we have 15 acres of land, and we are building a community of farmers to come together in a poly house, which they can be involved in if they want to, or if they don't want to be involved in it, we will run the show, we will manage it, and we will do everything right up to marketing and sales. So we can provide us
Okay.
complete support from A to Z.
Okay. Do you offer any training or workshop for individuals or businesses looking to
Uh,
enter hydroponic farming?
yes, we do have workshops monthly, once in a month, where we train them in organic as well as hydroponic farming. But that's just a one-day workshop, which is introductory. Like I said, this is not something you can learn over a period of 1 week, 1 month, or even 3 months. You would have to dedicate at least 6 months to be able to learn what hydroponics or any kind of farming is. Because when to use what, when the plant is in the rooting stage, in the leafy stage, flowering stage, fruiting stage, things change. And then with different weather conditions, give different bring in different issues like pests, like illnesses, bacteria. There are things that just grow under the leaf instead of top of the leaf. So how to detect them? What are the symptoms? All these things have to be learned, which cannot be taught in 1 day or 1 week. So yes, if somebody is serious, they should at least dedicate 6 months to this. Where we are willing to take them on as interns and train them, and we'll be happy to back them up and make them independent. And we have people like that. We have got some clients who have lands far away in the villages, and they are working with us, and we train them in maybe a year, 2 years, even 3 years. Some of them have even stuck around for 3 years. And then they decide, okay, I'll start something there, but I will continue with this project also. And they will start something back in hometown. And that is the way it is. It should be there. It should happen. That is the way people should work in cooperation.
Okay. I'll take up the next question, sir.
Yeah.
Do you supply seedlings, nutrients, or other inputs for hydroponic farming?
Seeds are available in the market. We can recommend a brand, or we can recommend some particular seeds, but we do not supply seeds. But as far as nutrition is concerned, yes, we have some of our own in-house recipes. So if somebody wants, we can supply the nutrition and ask them how, then teach them how to use it and how it will be different. Because things like biofertilizers are not commonly available in the market, and we make our own. But we do not sell it commercially per se. We do not put them in the stalls or shops or anything. We use it in house, and we give it to our clients.
Okay. Do you help with the market linkages or buyers for produce grown in hydroponic systems?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Do you help with the market linkages or buyers
Yes.
for
We
produce
do not.
grown in hydroponic system?
Yes. Now, for example, if you are doing exotic fruits or vegetables, and if you grow what we ask you to grow, we will be responsible for the whole production, sales of the whole production. But if you want to grow something else that you feel is more suitable in your farm or your area, your zone, you can grow it, but we can help you, but we cannot guarantee with the sales. Because that is a local marketing challenge, and local people have to go to the local markets and tie up for things like common things like cucumber or tomatoes or chilies uh, or eggplant. So anything that you are growing which is local, you'll have to sell it locally. But if you are doing exotic things like say zucchini or kale, or you're doing something like the berries, like I said, any kind of berry, blueberry, raspberry, You can do mulberry, you can do blackberry. There are a lot of berries that can be done. And if you're doing those production, we can guarantee sales because we have the channel for that.
Okay. I'll take up the next question, sir. Sir, can you just let us know the estimated approximate cost of setting up an hydroponic farm for 1,000 square feet?
1,000 square feet will not cost you much. It'll probably be around like 1 lakh to 2 lakh rupees. But if you're looking at doing a commercial venture, it will not be feasible because it will again depend where your farm is. If it is in the naturally, it's not going to be in the city. So your logistics of what you produce, that means the cost of transportation of your production to the market will be more than the cost of your production. Simple reason, in 1,000 square feet, you'll probably be able to grow maybe 10 or 20 kilos output a day. But if you're growing something as common as a cucumber or spinach or tomato, that's 20, 30 rupees a kilo. So 10 kilos is going to fetch you 300, 400 rupees, which will be more than your fuel cost. For a viable hydroponic project, commercial, if you're not doing it for hobby or for in-house, would be a minimum, and I say a minimum of 1 acre. Anything less than that will very little chance unless you're doing very high-end vegetation and not sticking to these common things, and you're doing something very high-end like the berries or even melons to that extent in hydroponics. Then it will be viable. But then again, you can't go at less down as 1,000 square feet because that's really not going to be enough to grow enough.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. We have now completed the round of questions. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, we would like to thank Mr. Dick Readymoney for the talk and for answering the questions. This meeting will now be closed.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
Most welcome, sir. Thank you.